Now, the rest of the story.
Well, the baler's hooked up. Just did a, well, pretty much just a bug run. Went through and I baled an acre. And on the good side of that statement is we really didn't have much for issues other than a net wrap issue, which is to be expected because this roll of net wrap sat in the baler since the fall. We ended up doing 7 bales that were coming out of the back. I don't have a scale in the baler or anything like that, but just judging by how much it shakes when it goes to come out of the back of the baler, they're pretty much bricks. And 7 bales at least 1,300 pounds of ale, at least. The reason I say that, just because I'm going off approximations here, is because I was making 54-inch, 5-foot bales last year that were averaging a little over 1,250. It's pounds, and I'm making 5.5, so we're running to 60 inches as opposed to the 54, 5 feet wide, and they're heavy enough. I'm almost to the point where I'm kind of considering dropping the size back down again, but for the most part, everything I'm making right now at this moment is for cow feed. And if it's going to be pretty much purely for cow feed, we don't have to worry about having to haul it too far or haul it too much or sell it. I would rather actually make them a little bit on the bigger side, so more feed in the bale ring carries you a little bit farther, which is, it's a nice perk. Roll a net wrap, can't even tell I ran any of it out, right? So normally I put a piece of plastic on each end. When it gives me issues as far as feeding, I'll do it where, I can get my fingers down in there. What ends up happening is, do this without hitting my head because I know what's going to happen. What happens is if this roll gets over too far either way, what tends to happen is it wants to run off these rubber rolls down here. And how I fix that is just putting a piece of plastic in. It works, but it doesn't. What I would actually do if I just got completely frustrated with it, I would actually just put a piece of plastic, cut a piece of plastic, we got that heavy thick stuff, fit it in here and then just put a bolt into the top of it, because the reason that I keep taking them out like I do is when you get down to the last little bit on the roll, you end up losing those plastic cutouts. So other than that, had to stop twice initially to make sure it was going to wrap. This baler is awesome compared to that 535, because this one, if it doesn't wrap, it tells you. The 535, it's entirely based on how much you want to trust the baler, which it should pretty well tell you how far I trusted that baler, because I got out and checked pretty much every other bale. What's there really to say about this thing? Running the teeth pretty much on the ground, because when the stuff is hitting the pickup, the material is hitting the pickup, it's pretty much deteriorating. It almost turns to powder. Now today is Thursday. I should have said that at the beginning of the video. They're calling for 80s, 90s, and wind. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday yet. They haven't changed that forecast, but my big problem is was worried about, not so much at the moment, having too much hay cut because of the beautiful drying weather we've had. The stuff is like I said, it's basically powder dry. Getting dry baled hay made in June has been pretty much impossible for the last 4 or 5 years, so it's kind of bizarre to be able to do it like right now. But my problem is, like I just told Ryan, A lot of the hay that we got cut right now, there's some that's in the fields. We got waterways, we got pastures. It's not exactly the smoothest, fastest, gonna get through it in no time at all ground. So kind of factoring for the fact that it is going to be a little bit more time consuming. We're raking it singly. We're not hitting it with the big rhino rake, pulling in 30 feet of material at a time. Probably could. I'd probably prefer it being the baler operator. Going for the uniformity and making sure everything's dry though, because that is why we baled it or raked it last night. The stuff I just baled was a test run last night just to see, make sure everything was running last night with the rake, and it was coming up green, wet, like there's water sitting on it yet, because the matted material is, I mean, was over 6 inches thick coming out of the back of the disc bind, and that's laying it out flat. So with, well, I guess this field is what, a little over 4 ton to the acre, approximately, I mean, give or take. If everything runs that heavy, that's great. Only worry is like hopefully that second and third cut will actually amount to anything. So I kind of went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to cut more today, largely because all it takes, like last year, the baler was kind of a letdown. All it takes is one machine down part where I can't get it for a day or two, and then all of a sudden all this hay that's currently sitting down in the ground, it's a concern of whether or not we can get it baled. Yes, I know people that I could call that would help me out, but that you don't really want that to be your go-to response every single time you have issues, especially if you can avoid problems. On top of the fact, all the people that I would call are currently using their balers making hay. So got the roller bar rake out. It's on the 4640. Yep, that's right, because the 4020 was needed for the power takeoff. And when we send Dad out, actually I rigged with it today for some of the waterways. It's fine, kind of long, seems kind of overpowered for what we're doing, but I think everybody understands that when it comes to making hay, everybody goes to work. And seems how I needed something to pull the rake. I wasn't going to use the four-wheeler. We're using the 46. Handles it fine, the seat rides nicer, and it's got air conditioning, especially when it's 90 degrees out. I don't know if Dad will appreciate that a lot. My biggest thing I want to say about the roller bar real quick is the upgrades I want to do to it. I want to remove all this, all that junk. It's all new. I mean, we replaced it all, but the problem is running it hydraulically. So off of the hydraulics of the tractor, so it's spinning at a constant rate. So you get your hydraulics turned on, set them, keep your throttle at whatever you're going to put your throttle at, and because right now it's based on purely ground speed, which is annoying, because if you don't want to go as fast as really I need to go to make sure that that's going to be doing an efficient job. So there's that. The gator, everybody's here getting a bath. The bobcats over there basically just parked just because. Went through, cleaned this off. I've been doing a lot of spraying with this. Absolutely love this thing. If I haven't said it enough, I absolutely love this thing. The sprayer, the whole mess on the cultivator as far as putting the spray on the cultivator is completely out the window now, just because this has proved itself as to how easy it is going around and spraying for all that grass that I had out in the fields, in my cornfields. The farm I went to, about every outside 2-3 rows, so we got everything covered, but the outside 3 rows on over half the farm was pretty well overtaken with grass. So seems how the gator is able to straddle 2 rows, and I have it set up for spraying out, 3 rows over. I'm going to see what the Roundup does here in another, say, week or so. But it saved me yield. So I know that as long as nothing happens, like, a strong wind and lays all the corn down in the middle of the summer, I think we all know what I'm talking about, or a drought, dry, super dry conditions right now are starting to become a real issue. This thing paid for itself like 10 times over. Plus being able to use it down in the valley like I did, which isn't like initially why I got it, and I like it. Totally worth it. You know, I try to say that here and there and everywhere. When it comes to spending money anymore, I try to throw my money towards things that are actually going to make me money, save me money. I don't really like seeing, I'm gonna take you out, you guys can see one of these bales real quick before I call it a night. I gotta clean all that up because I can get like 16-ton bales in there, and I think it's safe to say all the hay storage that I'm able to find this year is gonna be worth it. Just lost my track what I was saying, but so on the tail end of this video, here's the hay. That was the second one I made. The first one I made is back over behind the last one that I made. I'll show you real quick what all went on. Nothing major. It was just that net wrap sitting in that roll all winter, plus the fact that everything needed to be shined up. Oh yeah, I should have brought my tester out here. So I can still, I guess it's not as tight as I'd like, right? I can actually still get my hand in it. It doesn't, it just feels dry. I mean, it's green, yes. Greenness will cure. So Grandpa used to say, greenness will cure, but water, rain will burn. So putting it into the shed looking like this with this greenness to it, wow. Okay, that right there is bringing back nightmares. So what it is, it smells just like the small square bales, like the barn, the hay mow growing up. And this is with, oh, I'm really not digging that. For how heavy they were, I mean, I run that baler 99% of the time, so I got a really good idea as to how heavy the bales are coming out the back. And I mean,